So with Pitch Like a Boss, it is a universal guidebook that shows 5 essential steps on how you can lock down partners, how you can pitch your business at its highest potential via partnerships and sponsors.
And where do you feel like people struggle with pitching? Where do you feel like is like the thing that people struggle with the most that this book will help them?
Yeah, I think that it's the confidence. I
Mm.
think that it's them basically saying, like, what are the chances of them like saying yes to me? And so I think that discouragement is very common when it comes down to pitching. If you are consider yourself as multifaceted, you have to prioritize
Mhm.
what you like. And once you're good at it, become great. Once you're great at it, become successful, and then move on to the next.
What's up, you guys? It's your girl Bianca B, and welcome to the Bianca B Show, where we talk about business, finances, and friendships. So this guest is no one like new to the channel. We've grown up together in the media space. I am so proud of her. She is the CEO of Bosses Who Brunch. She's a host, an entrepreneur, a mother, a wife, and now a author. I'm so proud of her. Welcome to the author gang. Give it up for
Hey.
Mariah Darshá.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Girl, I am so good. I'm so blessed. I feel like every day I'm filled with more and more and more gratitude. It's been good. I'm good. How are you?
We saw each other, so it's not like we literally.
Yes. I was in New York, so we saw each other in New York and it was good vibes. It's always been like that since day one.
Yes. And so I first like to start off with each show. Like, what is the biggest life lesson you've learned and that you take with you on a day to day? Like, it's one thing that just is impactful for you and that you take with you daily.
Oh gosh, I would say it's similar to like a daily reminder to just stay true to myself. I feel like being a creative and being in like the entrepreneur space, you get so like I don't want to say blinded, but you can get very discouraged and the what is the word I'm looking for? Like the impact that social media can have on you, it distracts you. Lord Jesus. It can be very distracting when it comes on you like continuing to try to like focus on your craft. So every day I just try to remind myself to like stay true to myself, stay true to my purpose, and what's for me is for me and what's not is not.
Amen. Now, I want to start with the business. You know, we've been in the media space for over a decade, and
A
like,
long time.
just as you brand yourself, you reinvent yourself. I actually just put out a video about this. So, first and foremost, how have you learned to brand yourself, and what has the transitions been like throughout the years for you? Because I feel like that's the key to like knowing your brand. Like, so can you kind of
Mhm.
talk about your journey a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely feel like for myself, my brand has evolved over the years of me stepping into different phases in my life, right? So when I kickstarted my career in media, I was single, had a boyfriend, just in the industry, doing red carpets every single day. And then I transitioned into moving to a different city, then transitioned to, becoming a mother, becoming a wife. And so with those changes, I feel like it essentially like cultivated my brand with who I am as I continue to change. And I felt like it was super important for me to like, as I said, stay true to that because essentially me growing through life, you change every single day, every season, every reason, every lifetime. So it's like it was important for me to kind of like brand myself that aligned with who I was outside of social media to be sure that everything was like super real and authentic because you never want to show up on social media and be someone who you're not.
Exactly. And then, you know, with both of us, I can say that we use our name as our brand instead of going
Yeah.
to another company. So
Yeah.
kind of talk to like the young hosts, the young media people about, you know, should you stick with your name? Should you branch off and go with different networks? How do you feel about that?
Oh, that's a great question because I feel like it really depends. I
Mhm.
feel like when you use your name as your brand, you have to bring something to the table. Something about your life, something about your brand has to be very unique in its own way in comparison to when you're working with a company, the company already has all of those highlights, has all, they already have their established brand, their established imaging,
Mhm.
right? But when you are using your own name, you kind of have to create it for what it is. So what makes me Mariah, right? Mariah is a mother. So I like to show a lot of like motherhood content. I'm also a wife, so sometimes I show my husband here or there. So I think that like the only difference really is that, you know, I feel like when you are working with a company, you have a lot of that brand, you know, and that company's content that's already backing you up, and you kind of like put your own twist to it. But when you are using your name, you are literally walking in your brand, and you have to be sure that like everything you do makes sense to who you are.
And then I love that you have Bosses Who Brunch. When I tell y'all Mariah is the GOAT, we're going to get into her ebook, but the GOAT at putting on events. Like we did an event a long time ago. Y'all know I am not an event planner, but Mariah, how she's just so professional, so social. Like kind of talk about Bosses Who Brunch. I think I attended your vision board party, but not Bosses Who Brunch. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. So I started my career in events actually as like a wedding coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
So I started in weddings and I was like, this is not for me, but I love like the concept of like building from the bottom up to create this beautiful vision and experience of an event. And I just fell in love with it since day one. But I think so with Bosses Who Brunch, so we are a pop-up social brunch that provides resources for female founders, business owners, and entrepreneurs. And I actually launched Bosses Who Brunch in the middle of the pandemic because I was seeking resources myself. I was pregnant, we were quarantined, I was raising my 2-year-old daughter, and my husband was deployed for like over 7 months. And so for me, it was like trying to figure out how I can get these resources, you know, so I can maintain my business online or offline or whatever the case may be, so I can continue to sustain myself. And what I did is as soon as San Diego was able to open up their quarantine, they were like, you can only have 20 people for your event. I was like, okay, fine, let's do it. I just wanted to create a space where once again, women are able to kind of exchange those resources so that we can figure out how we can elevate in the most toughest time. Yeah. And what I thought that was for just myself ended up being mutually beneficial for all of the women that were there. From there, we just grew. Everyone loved the concept. People resonated with the philanthropy. And, you know, we did lots of Bosses Who Brunches in San Diego. We did one in LA. And then this year we were fortunate enough to expand to Phoenix, Arizona, and brought on Stella Rosa as our partner. So
that's amazing. Yeah. And if when you talked about what I noticed when you talked about Bosses Who Brunch, even from me asking that question, your pitch was on point. You knew your pitch. Now let's talk about Pitch Like a Boss.
Yes.
Walk us through this ebook. I'm so proud of it. Like, you don't understand.
Thank you.
Adding author to your brand is just amazing. So you should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you.
Kind of tell us about Pitch Like a Boss.
Yeah. So I feel like just over the time, I've realized like, Mariah, you have worked with so many different companies, whether it be as a influencer or content creator, you know, getting like those brand collaborations. My longest one as an influencer was Shoe Dazzle. I was with Shoe Dazzle for about 5 years. I shot one of their spring commercials and just did lots of like in studio shoots and lots of like things online. And then just like little things with, you know, Pampers with my daughter and other brand deals in San Diego and things like that. And then once I started to do events and I was like, oh my gosh, like my gift bags be popping. Yeah. Like they are filled to the top. And people always used to ask me, how do you get all these contributions to your events? How are you getting these companies to send you products through? And Bianca, we had this conversation before too, you know, just like working with different companies online as an influencer. And what ended up happening, and then I'll get into the book, I promise. What ended up happening is I made a video on TikTok, and it was how to secure or how to lock down sponsorships for your next event. And that was a title, very small bio, posted on TikTok, went crazy, had over 200 saves. I start receiving emails and DMs. People start following me on Instagram, asking me like, hey, we need more information about how you're securing these sponsors and partners. And then that prompted me to the book. And I was like, okay, I think it's time. Yeah. So with Pitch Like a Boss, it is a universal guidebook that shows 5 essential steps on how you can lock down partners, how you can pitch your business at its highest potential via partnerships and sponsors. And Yeah, it breaks down those 5 steps. We kick it off with make an appearance, which I thought was super important because I feel like the first thing in pitching is showing up as your authentic self.
Yeah.
You want to be able to share your story in the most authentic way where your story and your philanthropy is able to resonate with the company that you're reaching out to. Because although they want to look at the benefits and the funding and, are they going to like generate sales for us and brand awareness, all that good stuff, they also like heartfelt stories.
Yeah.
And so I kick off the pitch or the book with make an appearance, and then we kind of just trickle it down from there.
That's amazing. And there's 5 steps. Now, is this only for the event planning space if you're planning an event, or is this like, can entrepreneurs take this as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I tried to make it as simple as possible so that we can use it as a universal tool for pitching in the creative space. So whether you are a event planner trying to look for, once again, sponsors or contributing partners for your event, or whether you are an influencer or content creator just trying to get yourself out there and work with get like brands to send their products over to you, to make videos and create content. I like to just say it's very universal because with those 5 steps, you can use it to pitch to anything.
And where do you feel like people struggle with pitching? Where do you feel like is like the thing that people struggle with the most that this book will help them?
Yeah, I think that it's the confidence. I think that it's them basically saying like, what are the chances of them like saying yes to me? And so I think that discouragement is very common when it comes down to pitching, right? Because think of it like sales, like people, when it comes down to sales, you have to do those cold calls and you have to be okay with people saying no, just so you get that first yes. So I think that with pitching and why the book can be so beneficial is because once again, like starting with that make an appearance chapter, it really teaches you to like step into your true purpose and makes you realize that, oh, these companies want to work with me if I have the tools to be sure that I can lock them down and secure them. So I think that like one of the biggest struggles is letting yourself know that you are capable and you are definitely worth it than locking down that ideal partner to work with.
And when people are pitching themselves to brands, of course, this is probably all in the book, but like, do you recommend, one sheets? Do you recommend a whole, some people have like when you're good at so many different things, it's really hard to scale down like who you are. So what tips can you give to people regarding like if you're good at so many different things?
Right. Well, so to answer the first part of that question, when it comes down to like, what can you use to pitch yourself? So in the guidebook, it actually has a chapter called Pitch Like a Boss. And in that chapter, it gives you the step-by-step template to create your pitch deck.
Okay,
so what I do is 1 through 10, and it goes from like the introduction to your analytics and demographics to, your brand awareness to all the steps that you need in this pitch deck to then attach it to pitch to the partner.
Okay.
So it's really cool to know too, because when you go through the book, you're like, okay, well, I need to make a pitch deck, but where do I start? And in the guidebook, it shows literally a template on how to create that deck.
Okay, good.
So when it comes down to scaling down, I want to say like that's something that I feel like I kind of struggled with, because being a content creator, being an influencer, loving fashion, also loving entrepreneurship and loving business, but then also loving like producing events, and it kind of made sense to me, but it was like, how do I make it make sense to them? And I think that you really have to sit back, go to the drawing board, and let yourself know that it's not the matter of if you can do all of this, it's just the matter of when. So I think that if you are consider yourself as multifaceted, you have to prioritize what you like. And once you're good at it, become great. Once you're great at it, become successful, and then move on to the next and incorporate that. So I think it's just levels, because I truly do believe that people are multifaceted, because I am, but it's like, okay, how do we make it make sense? And it's like, okay, we just got to start with one, let that pop, and then keep building from there.
And when did you realize, okay, this is the thing that pops for me and I'm going to focus on that and then branch out to other things? What part of your career as Mariah that you learned that?
Oh my gosh, Bianca, with these questions are so good. Because I'm just sitting here like, in regards to like Pitch Like a Boss, I started writing that. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's literally 33 pages. And I started writing that ebook last year.
Mhm.
And to me, it's way too long to write an ebook, but I think that there's a time and a place for everything. Um, but it's interesting because I feel like just maybe like a few weeks ago, that's when I realized, oh yeah, Mariah, you have a thing for partnerships and sponsors and you know how to lock them down.
Mhm.
Let's start there, right? So I took my content creation skills and I perfected them over the years. And now when it comes down to me considering myself as an educator, I still want to implement the content creation skills, but now my focus is going to be on this. I also try to prioritize, like, because I love showcasing my family and my kids. So I'm like, okay, let's leave them for the weekend because that's when I typically, am with them. So we can shoot content with my family on the weekend. And then during the week, we can focus on like business and
Right.
partnerships and things like that. So, yeah.
So you created a schedule for your life. You incorporate everything, but
Yes.
you're
And
very
I
strategic.
have to take it day by day because I feel like even though you can implement structure and balance, to me, I feel like there's no such thing. My life is so crazy. I know your life is crazy too, especially living in New York. So it's just like we can implement these schedules and try to stick with it day by day by day. But when that one thing comes in, you have to learn how to pivot. And if you're not able to pivot, then you can't perfect what you have going on. And there's no such thing as perfect anyway. So
And I want to get into a couple of more things. One being, being a micro influencer, someone who feels like, I don't have much of a following. What advice would you give to people who don't really have those big numbers to
right.
pitch to brands?
Right. I would say that it's two things. I'll start with the first one being the overrated term consistency. And I don't even want to say it's overrated. I just get tired of hearing it myself because it's so hard for me to be consistent. And it's like when people tell me you got to be consistent, like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So, but it's so important. So I would say the first thing is being consistent. The second thing is identifying like who you are online and sticking with that, because I feel like sometimes once again, being on social media, we get impacted and influenced by so many other people, and you see how they do their content and you see how they shoot their videos. And essentially the first thing in our mind is to do is to mimic them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, I see that it's working for them, so let me try it. Yeah, you can do that, but what makes you online, right?
Yeah.
So take that influence and kind of like twist it so that it's unique for you. And I think that just getting started, practicing that type of consistency, just showing up as yourself
Yeah.
in your most creative, authentic way, being consistent with that, that's what people like to see.
Mhm. Got it. And being around all these different brands, what is the common thing that you've noticed with these companies? If like
Um,
just like one or two tips.
I would say if they like you, they like you. If they don't, that's okay.
Mhm.
Because these companies, especially the ones that are a lot more established, they know exactly what they want. And it's your job to once again present yourself in a very unique, authentic way in hopes that they want what you have.
Mhm.
So I would say the first thing is accepting the fact that if you get denied, that's okay. Just keep going. Another tip that I would say is the quality of your deliverables. So when you are entering into a partnership, they're always wanting something in return, right? So whether you're giving them brand awareness or you're having an event and you're, putting up their logos, doing lots of like marketing collaterals, whatever the case may be, make sure that those deliverables post event are up to par. I
Yeah.
want to say that was something that strengthened their relationship with Stella Rosa.
Mhm.
They just loved how I presented them the deliverables and it made them want to come back for the next event. And
Yeah.
when I say deliverables, meaning like, once again, what you committed to them in return of them committing to you.
Yeah. Got it. Love that. Love that tip. I'm so proud of you.
Thank
Where can
you.
people find this book?
Yes. So you can find Pitch Like a Boss. It'll be dropping tomorrow, October 27th at mariahdarshá.com. And you guys can check me out on all socials, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at Mariah Darshá.
Awesome. And what's the price point of the book for the girlies out there?
It's $11.99, so it's
Yes.
real cost efficient.
Mhm.
I didn't want to make it too pricey, but I didn't want to make it too cheap. And I honestly want to say $11.99 is more on the cheaper side, but I feel like it's a guidebook. It's 5 steps. It's downloadable. So it's $11.99. Yeah, it's not too bad.
I love that. And then last but not least, I always want to, have a closing, advice, turning 30 for me. I'm turning 30. And what advice would you give to entering into this 30th chapter?
Honestly, girl, I would say that when you feel that it's bad, it's gonna get better. Like that's something that I realize. It's like when it feels like it is at the bottom, the pit of the pit, and you're like, I don't even see no way, no how I'm gonna get out of this. That means that you are right there of life turning around. God does amazing things, and He is so intentional with everything that He does. So when you feel like you can't get out, the door is right there to open up for that next chapter in your life. So keep going. You got it.
Mariah, I love you. Thank you so much. It's your girl, Bianca B. Follow me on Instagram at It's Bianca B and at Bianca B Show. Make sure you guys support Mariah. I'm so excited. Welcome to the office. Bianca B.